What is up, everybody? Today we're talking the latest sexual assault accusations and more on Black Hollywood Lives this week.
You are tuned in to Black Hollywood Live this week.
Pretend that this works. I'm so ashamed of myself. Think I need therapy. I'm sorry, I'm not more attractive. I'm sorry, I'm not more ladylike.
I see you, Courtney.
I'm sorry, I don't
You know the whole lyrics.
I know this whole album. It was bad, man.
We find out we need to put you on lip sync
badass
battle.
album, okay?
Lip sync battle is what I'm saying.
Lip sync. I don't know though, because they be having to do dance routines and they be going
I
extra.
think we should do it. I want to do it.
I feel like that I would be a good solo artist. Like I'd be Candy Burris in the Escape group. Like I can sing, but I can't do the sing and dance at the same time. Like I can dance, but
One or the other. Which one is it gonna be?
Like I can't do both.
Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Black Hollywood Lives this week. I'm your host, Derrial, Christon, back from Thanksgiving.
I know.
Joining me today is Courtney Stewart.
What's up, everybody? It feels like
And
it's been forever.
I know it feels like that, right?
Yeah.
It does feel like it's been like 2 weeks.
But
sort
that
of,
just felt like
ish.
a month. I don't know.
It did.
Whatever.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Well, Janedy is not here today. He's actually taking care of his dog, but we have a great co-host
Yes,
coming in with us today.
what's up?
Let's see. Let me read your mini titles. ABC News correspondent, Foxy Lovin' contributor, you know, just overall personality. Danya Baccus is with us today.
How
She's
y'all
gonna give us all the tea.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
You know, she's all in the mix. So we're happy to have her today.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we got a lot of
yes.
stuff to talk about.
We got a lot of topics, even though
lot.
most of the topics are about sexual harassment.
I know.
You know, it's like
It's
literally
all about sex,
It's all
baby.
about- I literally go to my phone. It's like I'm addicted now to just go to TMZ to see who the latest person is, who they're announcing.
Who's that alert's gonna pop up next?
Literally.
Who is it?
It's crazy.
Yep,
insane.
yep. It's been a wild, wild few weeks, but we're going to start off on a positive note because the Grammy nominations
Yes.
came out.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. And there were some surprises and some upsets, apparently. And the biggest surprise was it was in Album of the Year, actually. Album of the Year this year, we have Childish Gambino up for Awaken My Love. We got Jay-Z up for 444. We got Kendrick Lamar with Damn. We got Lord with Melodrama. And we got Bruno Mars with 24 Karat Magic. And the reason that one was so shocking is because apparently there has not been a time when there has not been a white male artist nominated in that category. So everybody was like, wait a second.
Like, wait a minute, are
It's
we
like-
reading this
it's
correctly?
like
What's
three
going on
rap,
here?
2 rap albums, one kind of, because Childish Gambino was like rap, but not an R&B.
Yeah,
Like
so
it's kind
it's
of
like
like a
rap,
blend.
soul. Yeah,
And then we
yeah.
got Bruno Mars, that's soul, and then Lord, I don't know what we classify her as, but she's a white girl, so she ain't a white man. So the our white brothers were a little upset, a little salty. Some people thought Ed Sheeran should have been in the category.
Yeah.
I would agree with
A
that.
lot of buzz
I
You
mean,
think so?
he's got a lot of buzz this
Right.
year.
I thought
So,
about it, but you know, then I got over it, and I was kind of like, oh my God, it's so much rap in the Album of the Year. I'm kind of excited about that.
I'm really excited about it. And it seems like they listened after all the controversy
All the years.
last year,
Yeah.
right? And all the years before. And
Yeah.
now they've made committees, they've made an effort to actually, I guess, diversify. Which is
Apparently,
nice.
yes,
right.
yes.
Well, it's funny because I was watching some old school footage of just, you know, old music shows like American Music Awards, the Grammys from like the 90s and early 2000s, and even the late 80s. And a lot of times it's crazy what they used to categorize our music as. You know,
Yeah.
it was like black artists, but black artists meant every single, if it was hip hop, it was gospel.
Right.
Yeah.
It was all
you know,
all in the same thing.
R&B is black artists. So
Right.
we've come a long way. And for Jay-Z to be nominated so many times, I mean, obviously he deserves it.
Yes,
That was
he
a
got the most
wonderful,
nominations this
great
year.
album.
Yeah.
You know, and but it'll be interesting to see who all, you know, takes it home.
Who do you think will take home Album of the Year, though, out of those people?
Wait, who's the nominations again?
We've got Childish Gambino, we got Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar, Lord, and Bruno Mars.
I'm gonna go with Bruno Mars.
Do you
I'm
think
gonna
it's going to be
go
Bruno
I feel like he's
Mars?
always the go-to. You know what I
And
mean?
only because he's the most commercial
Yeah.
Yeah.
all of them. That's what was also surprising to me is that I felt like a lot, especially Jay, you didn't hear that on the radio a lot.
Well, see,
there were a lot
that
of
was,
artists
that
who
was
weren't.
very
yeah.
shocking to me but that makes me think he might win, actually.
But that was because of the whole title thing, though, too, right? I mean,
Well, yeah,
that's
he
what-
only released it to Tidal,
Yeah,
and
so-
then
yeah.
like I think it finally went to iTunes at some point,
Finally,
but
yeah,
it was a
took a
whole
while.
situation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
go him. But I actually think that we will all be shocked, and Jay-Z will actually win Album of the Year.
We'll see. We make a bet. Make
And
a
they
bet.
usually go to the show, right? Jay-Z and Beyonce,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
usually go to
And
the
if he's
Grammys,
nominated,
yeah.
I mean, he's the
He's
highest
that many
nominated
times.
person this
Yeah,
year.
he'll
He
be
better.
there.
I mean, I know he's on tour, but bruh, you need to
Right,
stop.
you need to go.
Hopefully we'll get some good performances because there's some great nominations.
There
And
is.
just to note a few other ones, we obviously came into SZA. She's nominated in Best
Love
New
her.
Artist category. And we always look at Best New Artist because I'm always like, well, do I even know who some of these people are? So I'm going to see who y'all know. So we got Best New Artist nominations are Alicia Cara,
Yeah.
Khalid.
Okay.
Yep, Khalid.
Right.
Khalid's killing it right now.
Yeah, he is, definitely.
All the time on the radio.
Okay, this one I still don't know, and we done talked about this before. Who the hell is Lil Uzi Vert?
I had to look him up.
Do
And
we
I
know?
still-
Do you
I
know?
know.
You know a song? You know a song?
You know, I don't want to get it wrong. I feel like I do know a song. Is it? Nah.
Go
nah.
ahead, sing
give
it.
a song.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I
Give
think
us a little
I mixed
something.
Lil Uzi Vert with Migos for some reason,
Oh,
I-
or the Migos.
Are they
See, I'm a little
different?
behind.
It could-
Yeah,
it
they're
could be.
different.
all right. So Julia Michaels.
I don't know
No.
Julia.
I don't know
Michaels.
you, and then SZA. So those are the Best New Artist nominations, and I'm obviously rooting for SZA because I
Yeah.
think she's super dope.
She's super dope.
She is.
Yeah.
And the last one we're gonna just talk about, just because I love memes, and the best meme that literally made me laugh this week was on the Shade Room, and it said that the Grammys is trying to ruin Black love because they got Migos and Cardi B in the same category. And that's for best rap performance. So shout out to Cardi B. She
How
got
hot
her.
is
Shout
that?
out to
though?
Cardi
How
B.
hot is that though? I mean, listen, we
has-
talk about her on this show. I love Cardi
Right.
B. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm happy for her.
I'm thrilled
I'm happy for her.
It's a
as
game
well.
changer too. The way how
Definitely.
she's
It's a
gonna came
huge
in.
game
Yeah.
changer. I mean, she's in this category with Big Sean for Bounce Back, Cardi B obviously Bodak Yellow, Jay-Z 444, and Kendrick Lamar Humble, and Migos Bad and Bougie.
Have we heard anything else from Cardi? I mean, I know she's
No,
also, but
that's
I
the
mean, like,
problem. That's
right,
why we
there's
worry,
no
girl.
other.
That's
Okay,
why we worry.
that's why I was like, I've
see,
heard
I'm not worried.
Bodak Yellow, and she's also
She's featured on
She's
that other track.
we
Yeah,
need the
no,
DJ
no.
here. He ain't
Right.
here
Yeah,
today.
the DJ.
Right.
She's
He
on
ain't here
another
today.
show.
He always
Cue that
does.
track, cue that track.
He always- we heard like something combined with
Wait,
somebody
you know,
else. but,
Anthony,
like,
what's
in
the other
terms of-
track? I know you know.
I listened to Bodak Yellow, of course, but the other one I personally like is Lick, looking like a quarter lick.
That's the one that Jesse's always talking about too.
Yeah,
he likes that one.
pretty good.
Yeah.
The beat is like super fat, and it's like it works well for it. For
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
I think she could take it home.
I think so too.
She might, but I'm worried. I'm like, I want you to take it home, but then I'm worried that's the big moment, and then it's like after
then
that,
there's
are you
nothing
gonna be able to pull
after
off an
that.
Right, the second
album?
thing.
Like, is
Yeah.
it just gonna turn into
Yeah.
like this one big movement?
But I
and
mean,
not-
but still, how good is that? I mean,
yeah.
you can come in, win a Grammy, and then fade
just-
to black. I think
Right,
you're
exactly.
okay.
Or do what they do after that. Just get the hottest producers after that, and just make sure
Right.
every track is A+. You know what I'm saying?
whatever. I'm
We've
not
seen her in
mad.
pictures with Beyonce. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some collaborations coming
sure.
up after
I can't
this
wait.
too.
Like, I'm excited, and I'm praying.
Please.
Fingers crossed, girl. Keep it together. But that'll
on the
be
show, Cardi B.
that'll be airing in February, or I think it's the end of January actually this year,
Yeah, end
not
of January,
February.
yeah.
So you guys check that out, January 2018. Moving on to some less than positive news, but sort of positive because at least they're not fighting really. Jennifer Hudson has been in the news because she and her fiance of 9 years have separated, and they were working out some custody issues, and it started out, before the holidays with a protective order being filed on her behalf, saying basically she was fearing for her physical and mental safety and that of her son from David Otunga, her former fiance. And people kind of took it kind of harshly because those of us that know Jennifer Hudson has a history, her family, obviously she lost her mom, her sister, and a nephew, I think it was the nephew, killed by the sister's boyfriend or
Boyfriend at the
fiance or
time, yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So when she filed that restraining order, and it was like, oh, I'm scared for my safety, and apparently information, people were kind of like super worried for her, and I think we all kind of have a soft spot for her because of what
Absolutely.
she's been through.
Absolutely.
And obviously David Otunga didn't appreciate that at all and thought it was all, his camp says it was all a hustle on her part because she knows that he is the primary caretaker of the child because she's often traveling for work, and she was trying to put a hindrance on that. And basically the judge ended up allowing him to have the son the afternoon of Thanksgiving, and now they went back to court right after Thanksgiving, and he technically has temporary physical custody of the child because she is in the UK taping her The Voice UK.
Yeah.
So she also dropped the protective
order, yeah.
And some are saying it's because she was lying to begin with.
Right. And she's claiming that she has plenty of people who actually saw it all happen, and that's
Right.
not the case. And, it's a very interesting back and forth between those two. And even when I first heard it, even when I first saw her trying to take full custody, I was like, how's she going to be able to do that? Because obviously her schedule is tremendously busy.
Yeah.
And I knew that she was going to be taping The Voice, and it's like, okay, when are you going to have time to have your son?
Right.
You know? And I know one of David's complaints was that she had taken the son to the studio, or he found the son in the studio one night during a school night, really late, and all this stuff. And then of course the alleged affair, but we don't know if that's true or not.
I think it just always gets ugly when there are children involved.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that, of course, I would love for them to focus on is their son, and making sure that he's good no matter what. But I know these things can be very emotional. People start saying and doing things that they probably normally wouldn't do.
It's true.
No, that's my son, and so I wish the best
so
for
sad.
them. It is sad.
I hate when it goes there. It's like, yo, you broke up, but it didn't suddenly change. Like, if you know he's the one always with the son because you're not available,
Right.
like, it didn't suddenly change because you don't want to be with him anymore. It's heartbreaking. But I'm glad at least it seems sort of calm and copacetic right now. We definitely don't want to see another brother rolling up in jail for violent activities and all of that.
And he's a announcer for the WWE, right? Like
is that what he's doing now?
Yeah. So, and I know that they said he actually had backed out a couple gigs because he wanted to really focus in on making sure his son was taken care of.
Yeah.
So, I respect that. You know, a lot of dads get the bad rap. So when a dad steps up, I'm happy to hear it.
That.
Take care of him. So good luck to you guys, and wishing you well through the holidays, because I know it's even harder.
Definitely.
Speaking of not so great things going on in the world, a lot of us have probably seen the social media blasts that have happened in the last few days about the Libyan slave trade. It's sex trafficking too, but the slave trade that's happening in Libya. And basically, it's a kind of a long, complicated story, but essentially what is happening is that Libya basically ain't got no government. Like, everything that could be going wrong in that country right now is going wrong. Many people blame the United States for the disaster area that it has become after we supported the toppling of Muammar Gaddafi's government in 2011. And they've sort of just, descended into chaos in ways that are almost unimaginable in 2017, yet it is very much so a reality. There are quite a few migrants that tend to make Libya a path through Africa to get to Europe. And what's happening is that various migrants from various countries, including Libya, are using Libya sort of as the channel to go across the Mediterranean to get to Europe. And they're often paying smugglers to smuggle them into Europe. When they run out of money, or when the smugglers are just basically they're criminals, and when they just decide they want to hold somebody hostage for more money or whatever, they're basically locking people up in random places across Libya, and they are selling them at actual slave auctions. And CNN actually broadcasted undercover sort of story research about them right before Thanksgiving, I believe it was. And to show that it's actually happening, because a lot of people were still kind of questioning, this isn't real, blah, blah, blah. And our lovely president tweeted the next day about fake news being on CNN, and even though he didn't tweet directly about the Libya story, some Libyan media apparently took hold of his tweet and used that to sort of be propaganda for the fact that it's not actually happening, even though it actually is. So there's lots of people sort of posting, what do we do? What can we do? Those types of things. Because, slavery affects over 40 million people
and this
across
happens
the
all
world.
the time and doesn't get reported on a lot.
This isn't new, so it's not new, and it's not specific to Libya at this time. It's actually happening across the globe, and so there's obviously on a broader scale something that we just need to look at. There's a few different organizations you can support. Specifically, what's happening in Libya right now, if you support the International Organization for Migration, they're specifically working in Libya right now, trying to get government involved and figure out how the world governments can sort of fit in and do what they can do. But it's almost not, you're almost not able to wrap your mind around it, because to not have a government working and operating, it's almost like there's not a whole lot from a government perspective that can be done, because it's who do you work with? Who's the police? Who's sort of monitoring what's going on? So it's super complicated and very, very sad. And additionally, there's other organizations that have been working in slavery and human trafficking for years and continuing to do so that you can support. One of them is Free the Slaves, one is In Slavery Now, and of course the Polaris Project. In America, you can reach out to our UN ambassador, Miss Nikki Haley's office. I'm not a fan of hers, in case you can't tell. but she is still our ambassador.
I love that you whispered it.
I'm not a fan, but she's still our ambassador, and you can bombard her with letters and phone calls and sort of to try to get the U.S. to sort of take a position, because we haven't really taken a position. And
they're also
leadership.
saying the Congressional Black Caucus too.
Yep.
Reach out to
They're
those
also
members
doing
as well.
Talk to those people also. You guys, it will require some research, but it's real easy. You can Google UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, and you can find contact information.
Oh, absolutely.
You can Google the Congressional Black Caucus, find out who's in it and who's a part of it, and you can get their office contact information. It'll take a few minutes, but you can actually find out this information. And just in terms of like long-term options, another amazing thing that you can do is not support companies or organizations that profit from slavery and child slavery and all of this. So people that there's a guide called the Slave-Free Buying Guide. Again, you can just Google that, and there, you can download it on your phone, and it'll show you the different labels on products and things like that, that companies that are actually consciously making an effort to purchase their goods and purchase their raw goods from other organizations that do not subscribe to slavery across the globe and are not using slave labor to get their products made and that kind of thing. So that's a huge thing. And we can also get on Facebook, because apparently the slave auctions were being advertised on Facebook. They were using because Facebook is worldwide, y'all, and like and they were actually, some of the smugglers were using Facebook as a means to communicate that the slave auctions were happening. So get on Facebook, get all up in what's his face's ears, and maybe stop using your Facebook for a little while and tell them this is unacceptable, and they can do a better job of pulling those down.
Right.
Well, this is just unfortunate over the way around. What pissed me off the most, honestly, is that what they use President Trump's tweets for, and the fact that he's tweeting and contributing to this problem. You know, have you guys reported on this story? I'm sure.
Yeah, we have.
Is there any kind of inside information you can give us about it?
No, I don't, unfortunately, have any kind of inside information. But I do think that it is unfortunate that the president does take a very serious situation like this to then flip it somehow in his favor. Always. And then, you know, I love the fact that it can be spread so quickly through social media, and that we can feel like we can do something to put an end to this. So I'm glad that we have that. I mean, but we see how it's like good and evil too. You know, it's good that now we know about it, but then you hear that social media also help to publicize this. So it's just heartbreaking all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, after seeing those videos even before Thanksgiving, it's like, you know, it's kind of hard. You realize how blessed we are and how much this stuff is going on in the world. And, you know, I know a lot of people want to help, and I'm glad that you were able to give the information on how people can be involved. And you're right, social media is something that is key as well. But, you know, this is a continuous problem that's been going on. And it's like, how do we cure? Do we have the manpower? Do we have the funds to, you know, hone in on this? I mean, we're still trying to get the schoolgirls back, you know what I mean? So it's like, how do you really get the result that you need?
And when you have a president who is so focused on nationalism and has made it very clear that international problems will not be our problems, we do wonder if he is, or even if we will be able to help in any kind of way. You know, if it's going to be a priority, basically. I know we have a lot of things going on right now here, too. But is this going to be a priority? And you would hope that it would be.
That's true.
I would feel like, just going off of what you said, because it does feel very overwhelming, and I myself have had an exceptionally overwhelming week looking and reading and just thinking and existing in life, period. But the one thing that made me like, because you see all of this stuff, just like with when the Bring the Girls Back, everybody's posting, and you're like, what's actually happening? Like, who's actually doing anything? And I think it's important for us to always remember that, yes, it's just an email or a phone call, but you have no idea really how much that might affect a shift, because one phone call here, one phone call there, one phone call there, one phone call there means something eventually. So I think that don't allow the feeling of overwhelmingness to make you paralyzed. Because either way, like, you can post on your social media, and that's great, and let people know, and people that didn't know now know, that's awesome. But please, like, try to make one more step. Like, even if it's a small one, like, even if you decide to look up one organization and you got like $1 to donate it, because $1 across the world means a lot more than $1 in America mostly. So you know what I'm saying? Like, so if that's all you have, then that's all you have. So I just want to because I feel the same like helplessness, like, oh my God, this is horrible, and it's like the end of the year, and it's Christmas, and like I was feeling all the feels about love. We'll talk about that later, but then we got Korea shooting up bombs and Libya slaying slaves, and I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to digest right now.
And they're trying to take away our internet. Like, what is going on? So I know on the real, y'all need to email the FCC about their net neutrality, because I've been doing that all week. Anyway, but we ain't talking about that right now. But just so y'all know, like, for real.
No, there's so many causes.
There's a lot of causes.
There's always something. But y'all want to keep seeing BHL, we really need our internet to be okay?
Right.
Y'all need to get on that.
Straight up. Real talk. All right, we're going to move on to our EUR Web Story Spotlight of the Week.
EUR Web Story Spotlight of the Week.
I should just deem this section sexual harassment
and assault.
And assault, or at least for the first couple stories anyway. So Terry Crews is back in the news again. I mean, we know that after Harvey Weinstein allegations came out, Terry also made allegations about a head agent over at WME who he said he was at a Christmas party with his wife, and he was sexually assaulted by this male who grabbed his genitals. And, you know, he's gone on to a variety of different circuits and talked about it and really been expressive about it. Well, he is in the news talking again because of a tweet that he just actually put out, because it was announced earlier this week that the agent, whose name is Adam Venit, who is the one of the head for the movie division over at WME, he has been allowed back to work. He was on a 30-day suspension with no pay, but he has been allowed back to work because the WME has deemed this as an isolated incident. So he has been allowed back to work. Terry was very upset by that, and he said he tweeted out, "Someone got a pass." What do you guys think about, first, Adam being allowed to come back to work, and B, you know, Terry's response to this?
So,
she said she started with
So with WME, from what you're telling me, is what they're saying is that they did some type of investigation, and they found out that investigation. An internal investigation. They found that this is an isolated incident. I give it to them for investigating, because I do think that could not have happened. They could have just, brushed this off and not do that. And they did suspend him, apparently, for a certain amount of time so that investigation could take place. So kudos to them for at least, and to Terry for coming out and talking about this.
For sure.
Because I think what we have been seeing in a lot of these stories is that people are going to people and saying, hey, this happened to me, and then it's falling on deaf ears, or people kind of already know that this person has that kind of reputation, and it's just kind of like, oh, well, that's just who he is. Right. So, I mean, I think if an investigation has taken place, due diligence, and they are now allowing him back in as an isolated incident, I don't know if I can say no, he shouldn't be allowed back in. We know about this now; it's out there, right? And hopefully But hopefully they are also requiring him to go through maybe some kind of training. I think you can investigate, but now what are you going to do to keep this from happening again? Does that mean training for your employees, training for him specifically? So I don't know. I mean,
Courtney.
Okay. I did feel that he got a little bit of a pass, maybe, but at the same time, like you said, I do believe, like, if they really did do an investigation, it came up, well, right now we don't have any other complaints. He grabbed your junk. That's awful. That's terrible. Right. He was admonished or punished for it. He also was demoted, from what I understand.
He was demoted,
He's no longer head of motion pictures. He's just an agent.
Right.
And I feel like the demotion itself, like, for me, that punishment fits the crime. And I do think that maybe he should have to go to, like, I don't like to say go to training, because you know damn well you ain't supposed to grab nobody's junk. Like, you don't need to be trained.
You don't have to be trained on that.
So it almost feels, but then I would like him to have to go to training, just because, just like when you have to go to traffic school, like, you probably know that stuff, but it's annoying, and it's an inconvenience. I do want him to be inconvenienced and have to be annoyed and have to sit through some nonsense, like, class, because what he did was nonsensical.
Has he made a public apology?
He's made an apology to Terry.
Okay.
Terry did acknowledge that he had heard from him and that he had apologized.
But I think a public apology
would be good.
Good.
I would require that. Like, I would like that.
He's been under the radar too. He hasn't been featured the way that the others, I feel like have been
because
featured.
he's also not
He's
famous.
not. He's not a celebrity,
He's not a,
quote unquote.
Yeah,
you know.
but yeah, I feel like they did their part, WME, to like go after it, and
Would you feel differently if it was a woman that had the same thing happen to her versus a man?
If he had grabbed her crotch?
Grabbed her crotch at a man, I guess a woman grabbing the crotch, or a man grabbing the crotch.
A man grabbing a woman's crotch. Or a woman grabbing a woman's crotch.
Yeah.
Right, and there's so many different scenarios that could happen.
Yeah.
I just feel like...
because I'm wondering. No, the reason I'm wondering because you guys both are like, if they did an investigation, it was an isolated incident.
Right.
It's fine. It was at a party. They were drunk. Whatever.
It's not fine. I just want to make that clear.
Okay, not fine.
Not fine.
But does it change the dynamic if it is done to a woman at a party and the guy is drunk and because I don't know. I kind of feel differently about it. I kind of do feel like I feel like he's getting a little bit of a pass because it's kind of a male on male interaction versus if it was a female. I feel like
he should just go.
That he should
be fired.
I think he should be fired. I mean, at the end of the day, we all have to live up to certain work standards. Yes, sometimes things happen at parties. You get drunk or whatever, but. Listen, you're an extreme executive, so you're setting the tone for all the other employees. So I think they should make him an example, just like they would have done with other males.
I wonder too, and I think that this is going to be the conversation that's now going to start, is about workplace policy.
Yeah.
And I do wonder I do think with NBC, well, we haven't even gotten to that part with Matt Lauer and everything. We'll get there later. But I do think that different companies have different standards and things. Yeah. So if it was that they are following their protocol of him being demoted and then them doing an internal investigation and they're following that policy, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
But if it is kind of like, no, it specifically says that he's supposed to be let go and they're making some kind of pass for him.
Exception, right.
An exception.
That's different.
And I think in any situation, whether male, female, however the scenario plays out, I would want it to go according to the policy standards and hoping that there is some type of policy in place for a situation
They
like
all
this.
have some kind of policy.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting that all this is still going on.
Yeah.
It is.
Because we watch the videos, right? If you've worked in corporate America, you have watched the videos.
I worked at a law firm in Hollywood, and their HR, and you would think lawyers would adhere to some serious harassment standard.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I'm also waiting for. I keep saying this, and not that I want this to happen, but we've seen obviously the entertainment side of things, and this kind of bubble is bursting. But Wall Street and all these other industries, and even really honestly the music black community industry. Just certain things there's certain things that have been allegedly coming to light that they're investigating. But I'm like, man, I know there's a lot of people who are shook.
Done already stepped down.
Well, So so this will lead us to kind of our next conversation. Matt Lauer. That was it was announced this week that the NBC had fired him from the Today Show, which he's been there since 1997. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I woke up and read this as the morning news, I was completely shocked. I mean,
but were you shocked that he was accused, or were you shocked that they fired him?
Okay, I was shocked that they fired him. No, there's no one. I'll be honest with you. At this stage of the game, there's nobody who I could even hear at this point that would really, really shock me.
Really? I was trying to think of somebody that I would be like, oh my God, I can't believe they would do that, and I couldn't think of not one.
No, there's not really too many people right now.
It's one of those things now, you can't put it past anyone at this point. But you're right. I do think because they acted so quickly, it was kind of like,
it was quick.
Fired Matt Lauer has been a staple for the Today Show.
Yes.
We have seen female co-anchors come and go, but he has been the one to stay. So the fact that within 24 hours of receiving this complaint, they fired,
not suspended. He got fired.
Right. So let's do an internal investigation. Let's take him off.
They were like,
show.
we gotta know.
And they did. They did an internal investigation. There were multiple women who had complained and come forward. Some accusations included exposing himself, giving sex toys to women. There's multiple things. He supposedly has a button underneath his desk that locks his door.
But that's normal.
Is that normal?
That is not as abnormal as it sounds.
Okay.
That is
All right.
not as
because a lot of these acts took place in his
are
office.
very
so.
open,
Right, they are
so
very
and conversations can quickly turn to needing to be closed door conversations.
Okay.
So I think they talked about that actually on The View today or something.
Okay.
It's not as abnormal as it sounds because
It
there's
just
a
sounds-
there
it
was an
sounds mad
article
creepy.
that was like
Yeah, it sounds creepy as hell.
somebody
I'm
was
just
like,
saying.
that Lauer had a sex dungeon
Yeah.
in today's show.
Right,
Like, what is
right.
It's not that strange. It is a little strange, but it's not quite as strange as it sounds.
Yeah, so there's lots of accusations that are coming out about him. Apparently, even also one of the accusations is that he explicitly wrote a letter with the sex toy that he gave to a woman
Yes.
and let her know what he wanted to
wants
do with her
it.
and the
Yeah.
sex toy. Now,
I got a
Dropping his
all right, go ahead.
pants.
And dropping his pants. There's a video actually of him dropping his pants at one of their
What?
parties too. If you go to TMZ, there's
Okay, I got a
Seen
question.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we talked a few weeks ago about a movie coming out that Taraji's going to star. It's the remake of What Women Want.
Right, yes.
And Taraji's going to play, and it's going to switch, and she's going to be able to hear men's thoughts. All I can
Y'all
think
don't want
about.
to know men's thoughts.
All I
I'm
can
telling
think
you.
about for the last like 2 weeks, and now I'm here with a male. Dude, what the hell is in your heads that make you think it's all right at work to just be like, I'm gonna show you my dick?
Thank you.
Like, at what
I have to say
point?
It's a lot of
that same
showing of the
thing.
penis. I'm not
Like,
gonna
there's
lie.
so much.
They-
I have, and right. It just leaves you like, what makes you think that this is okay?
Here's the thing.
Because I almost get
It's-
touching.
it's-
Like, because you can be flirty
Right.
and, like, in the office, and I get you work together all the time, and then as a man, maybe you go too far because the woman is, like, and she, like,
And that
whatever.
can go
It
both
happens.
ways.
It goes both ways.
goes
You'll
both
go,
ways.
you'll be flirting. But what? There's no
All
point
right.
in my life that I'm like, ooh,
Let
you
me
know what?
just
I'm going to
drop
show
my
you my
pants.
labia.
Right.
You know what it is? It's
At work.
I'm not gonna speak for every male, but like as a dude, you know you hang out with your boys and like
And
you know
y'all just
no,
throwing
but I'm saying
dicks
like
around?
you, no, but I mean like you just you talk about stuff. You don't like it's like dick pics. Girls always complain that dudes send them too many dick pics a lot of times. You know, it's like it's kind of like our natural go-to. I don't know if it's
It's your
because,
natural go-to
I don't know
to
if it's because
flop your
it's
dick
attached to
out?
us. No, I mean I just think that we think that we think that's what you want. So you know.
You think?
High.
Wait, what was that?
What'd you say?
My natural go-to is high. And it should be.
No, I mean,
it should be
not-
hello.
yeah, I mean,
How
I'm
are
talking
you?
about past
Not like,
the high.
hey, look what I
you know.
got.
No, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm saying I don't. It's hard to explain, but in this situation, I actually think that it's the result of people thinking that they have so much power that they don't
Of
give a crap.
course, yeah.
So you know, there's many guys who are not just whipping out their penis to females.
But do you
know.
have that thought? My thing, because it's still the thought has to exist. He just got to a place where he felt comfortable doing it.
I
so
mean,
the thought
it would
exists.
have
You'd
to
be like, I want
something
to show
that
this girl my dick.
It
Like
would have to,
that
no, it would have to
comes?
something that you have kind of given me some flavor that's what you want to see versus just like, hey, how you
Just
doing?
randomly, let me
Today's
whip it out.
Tuesday. Here's my dick. You know what I mean? Excuse my English. It's usually not like that.
Oh my god!
I can't.
I mean, but okay, well, now, so, you know, this whole thing with Matt, I think, you know, has got a lot of people shook because there's a video that was actually put on TMZ yesterday that we're going to play real quick. It's him talking to, after that, I'm drawing a blank, Meredith Vieira,
Yeah.
and it's kind of it looks like it's filmed from someone who's kind of hiding behind a camera, or I don't know if it's like actually.
Oh, is this
It may
it was
be a
the break.
camera.
It may
was
just be the
it may
camera
be the
break. Oh, it's
camera.
probably
It
the
was a
break.
camera break
Yeah.
because they
It
go
seems
to
like
they go to local news
Right,
at like
that's right.
8:25 and
Right.
on every whatever half hour, and the camera kept rolling, and a feed, I think it was in Kansas, kept rolling the Today Show footage instead of their local news, so they actually had the footage of
It's
what was
That's what
said
it
in
was.
amazing that they
between
kept that for so
Yeah.
long.
I know,
though.
right?
Yeah,
It looks like it's recorded off of a TV screen.
That's what it looks
Yeah.
like. Yeah, that's what it
that
looks
may be
like.
that video.
So we're gonna play it real quick to get you guys' opinion on this.
So Matt, you see you now, right?
These are just crosstalks, and I'll meet you outside.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I'm going.
Pretty sweater. Keep bending over like that. It's a nice view.
This is my little, I love you, man.
He was so serious about it.
Very serious.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I'm going.
Pretty sweater. Keep bending over like that. It's a nice view.
All right, it's just okay. It just creeped me out. I mean, here's also the thing. It's like the way his eyes were looking at her, and then he just kind of popped back into, hi, this is, like he looked like he was ready to be like, hey, this is Matt Lauer on the Today Show. Now, there's been a statement issued by Meredith Vieira's husband that he said that that they had that type of relationship and humor, and that she was not offended by that.
Right. And if you have seen Meredith and heard her speak, she does kind of have that that kind of rapport, I guess, with people, and she is very touchy, and she sometimes says inappropriate things. Right. So maybe they did have that type of relationship. Exactly. But when you see that video in light of the allegation, it's now kind of like, okay.
But here's the thing, and we'll get into some other stories with this, but it makes things, it obviously puts things in perspective, but it also, I feel like, is it going to make everyone just so paranoid, though, in one regard, too? It's like you're not going to feel like you can say anything. I mean, listen, there's lots of things I've joked with Courtney about. We work together, and I'm like, oh, I probably should never say that or say anything. But I have a dirty
mouth, so it's fine.
But I get it. But someone could overhear that and take it a totally different way.
Yeah. We're in an extreme, though. I feel like it's going to require, because for so long, when bad things were actually happening, nobody was trying to hear it. I mean, Bill Cosby ran through how many women before anybody paid any attention? Right. So I feel like that's kind of how things happen. Culturally, we were way over there. We ain't believing none of these women, rape culture, all that. We've been over there for so long. We're going to go way to the other extreme for a little while because all this stuff is coming out. And because I had a debate with a friend this week, and it was a woman. She was like, well, I mean, these women just can accuse these men and ruin their careers and all of this. But I feel like there has to be that extreme before we make it back to the middle to figure out what's in the middle. Because we don't know what that is, because we've never put that in place. We've never behaved that way. Even women who don't believe other women, that's a psychology that was trained in us.
I mean, that's true.
So that's stuff that all has to be broken. So I think we're just going to be in a really uncomfortable space that's pretty awful, and there are definitely going to be some casualties, just like there were casualties on the other side of all those women that were raped or sexually assaulted and never got believed or never got heard, until we can come to a place where we're closer to what should be in existence.
And I also think that we have to, let's not act like it's just little comments like that got these men in trouble.
For sure.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I think little comments like that, I think everyone can acknowledge those things happen in the workplace. Yes. It happens both ways, both sides. People kind of, make jokes like that. If you have a rapport with someone like that, you do say inappropriate things, but that's not what we're talking about here. And I think people can be scared, and I'm okay if it's going to make you think twice before you maybe say something that's inappropriate to me or to anybody else who we work with.
Or put your dick on my arm.
Right, exactly. That's what we're talking about here. That when it starts to cross the line, when you're giving me inappropriate gifts and you're writing inappropriate notes, we're not talking about, hey, bend over like that. We're talking about, hey, it's Tuesday, hello.
Right. Hey, Tuesday. Here's my dick.
You want to touch it? No.
Right.
We're at work.
Okay, so I didn't articulate this all the way because you guys threw me off when you asked me the question. But there's another thing with guys, and I'm not justifying it, but with guys, we're used to, grabbing our junk, or holding our or scratching our junk, and females are always like, why do you guys do that? Why do you guys? And it's nothing that we're trained for. It's just, it's there, and it happens, and I think we just have an attachment to our penis.
You guys have a constant reminder of your genitalia because it's always on your leg.
Yeah.
Ours is sort of up in there, and we're not necessarily feeling friction all day, every day.
Right.
So we get that, but again, that doesn't mean I want you to put it in my hand if I asked you for a stapler.
If I come in the room.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You were like, no, really, I was just trying to give you your notes.
Right,
I really don't need a sex toy anywhere.
And generally, it's pretty clear when we want to see the dick.
Right.
It's not.
This is very.
But we're stupid as men. We sometimes don't know. But
are you really?
I don't buy that.
I think we're stupid sometimes. I think we're stupid sometimes. I do. I think we're stupid.
You're stupid sometimes, but in terms of
and reading signals. Sometimes I think we can read signals wrong.
No, I think that you choose to read signals wrong because you want.
So
we're in positions of power. Right, and let's talk about that too. We're not talking about just two coworkers. You know what I mean? Casual. These are men who are in positions of power as well that play a part into all of this. So I'm glad that this conversation is happening, though. Right, this shift had to happen.
It did. Now I had this question too, and once again, I swear we'll move on to the next one. But with these guys like a Matt Lauer, if he's terminated from his job, does he get a buyout? You know what I mean? Because I would imagine his contract is still.
It depends. The morality clause.
How does that work?
From what I read, there is a clause in his contract that basically I think will keep him from getting any more of the money. That there are morality clauses in contracts sometimes, depending on who you are. And I'm not going on the record and saying that, but I have read some articles that said that could be an issue and that he may not get
it. Wow. In his defense, he was up for a new contract in 2018. Though, so he'd been paid.
I think he was getting what, 25 million,
25 million, something like that. Crazy.
Yeah. So. Dang, bro. I feel bad for his kids, man.
Well, and then it's crazy because even all the stories are like his wife knew all the years of cheating, but this kind of changes the game, you know. So
it really does. And when you think about how one bad decision can change your entire life, and these men who have pretty strong legacies as well, now are going to be overshadowed by the stupid decision. You know,
they're willing to risk it all to show somebody.
And one of those is Russell Simmons, who we're going to talk about next, because it was just announced that he has stepped down from his companies because of there was one sexual allegation from a young model who at the time was 17 who said that Russell basically raped her and in front of Brett Ratner and as he watched. And now there's a new allegation from a woman, a writer by the name of Jenny Lumet. Is it Lumet? I think it's Lumet, who says that Russell sexually violated her in 1991. Now her grandmother is actually Lena Horne, so which. You know, it's crazy. So she was a young girl. She said that, you know, basically it was kind of the similar stories of she thought that, you know, she felt pressure that she should go with him to his room, and you know they had sexual relations, and he apparently, she said that she was afraid for her life because he couldn't perform the way that he wanted to, and she said that he seemed angered about it. And you know, I think you know, obviously Russell is very instrumental in creating so many different things, Def Jam to you know Fat Farm to you know All Def Digital right now, and he has decided to step down. Do you think that will have his company suffer still, or do you think that was just the right move and that people will be able to get past it? Or, you know, what's your thoughts on this?
You know, I do think that he made the right move. I think that he went ahead, excuse me, and jumped in front of it. And he also issued an apology.
He did issue an apology.
He issued an apology right away. I think he didn't admit to any kind of forceful act, but did admit to, you know, making someone feel uncomfortable
and all of that,
kind of thing. So I don't know if there's going to be any strong backlash. And I also have to say that I know in the Black community we are also extremely loyal, and it takes a lot for us to disassociate with someone. And the fact that I think, you know, not giving him a pass in any way, but the fact that I think, you know, we will probably look more so at the fact, well, he did step down, you know, he did apologize, that kind of thing. I don't know if he's going to see any true backlash.
And these are still allegations, but then I'm like, how do they prove it at this stage? I mean, I guess, you know, sure, they could say the doorman saw her come upstairs, but how do you prove it? You know, we're in a stage now of people got videos for everything, you know, and recordings, and that was a time that they didn't have that. So I don't know, you know.
Very serious though. I mean, and that's the thing too. I guess we can't take that away. Like, these are extremely serious allegations.
Serious allegations.
Very serious.
And you hate the fact when you hear these women and you see them in their pain. And I've seen so many press conferences of women who were afraid to speak out and who are still dealing with all of that pain and that fear and those memories of what happened to them. You can't ignore that either.
You can't ignore
so I don't think anybody should get a pass in this situation.
I agree. Well, we'll see how that story develops, as you know, those are just 2 allegations, so hopefully there won't be more with Russell. Moving on to our last story, we got a wrap, so we'll make it really quick. We're going to leave on a positive note, or I don't know if it's positive because Courtney may be mad.
I mean, a little bit mad.
She may be in her emotions, but it was announced this week that
I was so close.
Prince Harry is engaged to actress Meghan Markle, who is half African American. So this is huge.
This is really big
for, you know, the royal family. And the wedding that has been announced is going to take place next spring. May 26th. They're getting married at St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle outside of London. And also, let's see, she's leaving her TV show, which
she already did.
Yeah, she already left. And she said that they're saying there most likely will not be a prenup, which I was very surprised. That there's not going to be a prenup.
I mean, they believe in marriage.
He's worth $25 million. He's worth $25 million. But they said that also prenups, you know, they're heavier in the United States versus
that's like because we're crazy.
Yeah, we're crazy. And it's we're in a culture of a different beast.
I'm excited. I know people have been wondering, is this going to last? Do they think this will last? I think so. He seems so in love with her.
Yes.
He
does. And he also seems like he has, he's very strong emotionally. He's a strong communicator. And we know he was a playboy. So he has been out in these streets.
He's been in those streets.
So he knows. I think he knew. It's time to settle down, and he has. So
he has.
I'm
happy. And it was so beautiful to watch them looking at each other. And all of my pain went away because we talked about this before. Me and Megan went to Northwestern at the same time. So
what was she like?
I don't know her that well. I knew she went to school. She was closer to one of my mutual friends.
Okay,
so she was sweet. The vague recall I have of her, she was very sweet. But yeah, so I know that it makes me feel like I was this close because I was checking for Harry like a long time ago before everybody was all up on him. I was checking for Harry a long time ago. Okay, but see, that's why you got to keep hope. Like he ain't gonna go for no brown girl for real. But he did.
He did.
But he did. So.
And I think everybody's gonna try to go to that wedding. I know I'm trying to.
Listen, we're gonna be BHL crashing in the back.
That was the funniest alumni post on Facebook from Northwestern. Is everybody's trying to like boo up with my girlfriend that is actually friends with her and be like, girl, can we be your plus one? Because you're probably the only one that's gonna get an invite.
Right.
So,
And what I did love is that he made a statement. I forgot which outlet he made this to, but he said that his mother would have loved her. When they asked her, what do you think your mom would think? He was like, my mom would absolutely love her and embrace her. So I'm like, man, she's in. So
I totally bought their happiness.
Me too. I did.
It totally bought it. It made me think I might actually get married.
Okay.
Because I ain't been on that tip, but I was like, I can do it. Like, I might want a husband.
Me was like, what the kid gonna look like? What gene is gonna pick up? He's gonna have a little Negro shot up in the pants, running around.
I want some nose, freckles. I want red Afro curls. Like, I would be so excited.
I'm waiting to see that.
I cannot.
Which
He's not
gene
gonna be king, right? So
no, he's like sixth in line at this point, so it doesn't matter.
And he's never
He's sixth after the new baby is born. Once the new baby is born. So yeah, but I'm gonna be waiting.
I'm gonna be right there
at their wedding. Like, I might just have to go over there.
I might even watch that one. All right, we got to get out of here. Courtney, where can fans find you?
You can find me everywhere at Stewart Starlet.
Danya, where can fans find you?
You can find me everywhere, Danya Baccus. Mostly Danya_Baccus.
Okay. And
I should just keep it one
all over the TV.
And all over the TV.
Watch her on TV,
Fox
guys.
11 here locally.
Yeah.
You can see
doing big things.
Yeah.
You can find me at Derrial Christon on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and on Reel's channel, Broken Famous, and also on Us Weekly's Celebrity Feuds on Friday nights. We will have Danya back because she gives great information for us. And we'll see you soon. Have a great weekend.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Derrial, Christon, Tiana Hudson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online.
If I say this.
And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live. Scipio, Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.